Carl, and I had the distinct pleasure of talking to writer, director, and executive producer Rick Famuyiwa of The Mandalorian. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm doing well too, and thank you so much for asking. You're one of the few directors who came from season one and went on to season two, and now you're on season three. So you've got to see this whole trajectory of this character arc develop throughout the three seasons. So
Mhm.
now that you're on your third season and you're directing more episodes, what's it going to be like for you to handle this sort of juggling act between seeking the Mandalorian seeking redemption for breaking the code, um, the exploration of the Mandalorian culture, and then of course there's that looming threat of the Empire, across the galaxy.
Yeah.
So what's it like to handle that juggling act?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's been a quite an ambitious season, and certainly season three has been our most ambitious, both in terms of the production of it, but also the storytelling. And yes, you sort of hit on. There's a lot that has to be juggled, but that's been planted, seeds that have been planted throughout the first couple seasons that are now starting to grow and bloom, starting with that principal relationship between Grogu and Mando, but also just the idea of what it is to be a Mandalorian, both individually for Din Djarin, but as a larger group as his world has expanded out. Um, and we know that we live in this timeline in Star Wars between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. So obviously, we understand that there are elements of the Empire that that might still be around, and we've seen evidence of that. And clearly, we have a sense of where we're going once we get to Force Awakens. So how that starts to impact our world, I feel like inevitably we're going to see. But yeah, all of that I think made for a very ambitious season, which needed I think all the people who have been around from season one to sort of come together on it. And that's what's been exciting is that I think there is a continuity both in terms of directors, but also just in terms of actors, in terms of our crew and creative team that bring this together that have been a part of this from season one. So now it feels like we're working together as a team that has experience both in the storytelling and in the size of it. So we certainly had our hands full, but I think we got it.
Speaking of planting seeds, were there any because the way that season two reintroduced familiar characters from Clone Wars and Rebels, and then the way it connected to Boba Fett, were there any expectations to expand upon those connections or raise the bar on the cameos?
Oh, I mean, I think where the adventures of Mando and Grogu take us, obviously starts to expand out our world from the simple place it started, and I think we've seen that happen, throughout the first couple seasons, and we're certainly going to go to places this season that are new and exciting too. And now whether those the size and scope of those introductions or how big they are or small, who knows? That's for everyone to define when they see them. But I certainly know that our storytelling is a part of a larger um, world, and so even though we're individually focused on our storytelling with Mandalorian, it certainly has come across things and parts of the world that were built before our show, and will certainly continue in that way, and even as we've seen, there are characters that are R2 have met, like Ahsoka, who are now Ahsoka's going to have her own show, and that will expand the storytelling in its own way through Dave Filoni. So yeah, I think even though that's not necessarily a focus, we know because of where we are, both in the world and in the timeline, that there's obviously going to be places, both fans of the show from long for a long time, and those that are more recently come into Star Wars will see those connections.
All right, that's the key word, guys. Places, I guess. So thank you very much. That's all the time I have. But I rewatched all your episodes just recently, and I'm just like fascinated by how you treat the characters and how you so focus on what your vision basically of focusing on character development.
Now,
So I really like what
thank you,
so far.
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Boys, professional artists and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life, comics, movies, and TV. Yeah, pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.